Panning for chocolate, a lesson from the San Joaquin County Historical Museum. Howdy there, greenhorn. This is Miner Phil here. We're going to be talking today about the science and gravity of gold panning, a great California tradition. Today, for this lesson, you and if you've got family with you at home, you're going to need a bowl or some sort of gold pan, any sort of pasta dish or pasta frying pan will do. I have a black salad bowl. You're going to need some sort of soil and gravel. In this case, I've got a mixture of garden soil, Cheerios, and grass from the Calaveras River watershed. Thirdly, you're going to need some sort of gold. In this case, nice little nougat of chocolate from the Calaveras River placers up in Calaveras County. And then lastly, you're going to need some sort of liquid that you're going to use to pan the soil with, in which case I've got good old water from the Calaveras River watershed. Alrighty here, let's go ahead and get to talking. So what is gold panning? Well, gold panning is a means of using gravity, which is one of the main forces in nature, to separate material that is really light, so it doesn't have a lot of weight, so it's not very heavy, like soils and gravels, like these Cheerios, from heavier material like chocolate, or in the case of the gold miners of the 1850s, at real 24 karat gold. So how do you actually pan for gold? So the gold miners would, between 1849 and the 1850s, would head to riverbeds and stream beds out in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada, the great mountain range to the east. And they would get buckets full of soil and gravel from the bottom of riverbeds. But it's hard to just be digging with your hands or shovels looking for the gold that's inside that gravel and soil. So they devised a neat trick using gravity where they got some sort of pan, okay, and this is where you can follow along, and they would actually just take it full of water and take the soil, and they would slowly shake the pan back and forth in a circular motion. And what would happen is that the soil, the Cheerios, the grass, the gravels, the rocks, is going to slowly, because it's not as heavy, right? And heavier things sink down. It's not as heavy. It's going to go ahead and jump out of the pan along the sides. So you can watch me here. Right? So now we're getting somewhere. Right, you can actually see the gold. We'll pretend that you can't see the gold yet, because that's a pretty large chocolate. You keep going, and you keep going, and eventually, you're going to get to a point where the chocolate is the last thing at the bottom of the pan. So you can see it right here, right? There's almost nothing left, and the chocolate, being heavy, is there at the bottom. And what happens is that the chocolate, or in the case of the gold miners, the gold, is going to sink to the bottom because it's heavier. And you can think of it, you can imagine it, if you have a bowl of soup, the heavier parts of the soup, whether it's chicken or some sort of vegetable, are going to sink to the bottom. Whereas the lighter things, so for example, maybe cabbage or celery, are going to float to the top. And that's the same principle in gold panning. The heavier material in the gravel, whether it's rocks, a good piece of fool's gold, or real gold, in the case of the miners, or chocolate in my case, is actually going to sink to the bottom, and those soils and the sands are going to float out the top. And that is the science of gold panning.